What should leaders do when they have invested so much trust in themselves and yet they are not trusted? Because being worthy of trust kind of loses significance if we are not trusted, and commitment is dependent on the trust resource available in a team or in an organization. You see, a leader who seeks to win the commitment of his team must understand how to bridge the gap between being trustworthy and being trusted. And the question is, what is this gap? Or what is the bridge between trustworthiness and being trusted that a leader needs to understand? You see, over the course of my career in behavioral consulting, I've had to ponder on this myself. How can you invest so much trust in yourself and still struggle to earn trust? And the answer comes back to one thing all the time: communication. You see, communication is that gap between being trustworthy and being trusted. And as a leader, how do you communicate? So I want you to imagine for a moment that you're going to be interviewing an individual whose CV says is an expert in a particular field. But when he comes into the interviewing room, he is shabbily dressed. When asked questions, he's too sluggish to answer. And when he finally answers, he's too shy to look you straight in the eye. What would your hiring decision be? Even if at some level you know the answer the individual is giving you might be right, or this guy might even be truly an expert in his field, I can bet you'd not hire this person, and if you do, you really struggle with your decision. You see, even though this individual has invested some trust in himself as a result of being an expert in his field, the way he communicates himself through his engagement with the world around him will make it difficult for him to be trusted. And though he's trustworthy, but he will still struggle to find himself being trusted with opportunities. So how we communicate ourselves with the world around us informs if we should be trusted or not. There are different angles to discussing communication in terms of building trust. But for the purpose of our discussion, I'd like to come from the angle of personality differences. You see, our personality types inform our communication style. Now, communication goes beyond what you say because it's a combination of many things. What you say, how you say, the tonality and the speed of your words, the empathy or lack of it that your words carry, patience or lack of it, the metaphors that you use, how you dress, how you interpret or frame what others are saying to you, how much attention you pay to others, how much attention you pay to the feedbacks others are giving you, and how much attention you pay to what others are telling you by what they are not saying to you, what you do behind your back with the confidential information that they're sharing with you, and much more. Now, these are elements that you sum together to create a communication profile of an individual. And if these elements, if they tilt in certain directions, we could earn trust or distrust of people around us. You see, most times, beyond attitude or character, communication is a perception problem, and it could be rooted in our personality differences and how we engage with them. Okay, so as a person with a dominant personality, you'll be impatient with people, you would value speed, you'd value quick thinking, you would dress sharp, you would value results, you'll be impersonal, work is work for you, and sentiment and what is going on in other people's lives should be kept at home. You'll be a confident person, you'll be intolerable towards those with perceived sloppiness or laziness or sluggishness. Now, this is your communication model. This is your reality. Now, this is who you are or who you think you are. But this reality will be interpreted and perceived differently by other people because of their own personality type and their belief system. And that's a problem a leader should strive to understand and fix. I mean, the gap between his reality and the perception of it is a huge problem that a leader needs to understand and know how to fix. The gap between what it does and how it's perceived. So if you are the confident, extroverted personality type, there are chances that you will overreach with your show of confidence and you'll be perceived as arrogant by people around you. If you are a considerate, introverted personality type, you have such tendency to be considerate and you could be perceived as lax and weak. So now you know that your strength is also your weakness. When we overreach with our strength, there we find our weaknesses. Oh, so you could say, why should I care about what people say or think about me? That's me, and I can't change it for the world. I can't change myself for them. Now, this thinking in itself signifies limited understanding of social trust and how it's earned or built, and its significant implication on leadership effectiveness. Well, no one is asking you to change yourself for others or to become another person for them. As a leader, you want to understand the perception problem that is created by your personality type, and you want to mitigate that, because as the saying goes, perception is stronger than reality. A leader doesn't own himself, or leadership is not sole proprietorship. It's a public liability, which means what makes you a leader is a trust people invested in you, and that trust needs to be managed. And every trust you lose is a perception gap that you fail to manage properly. So what does a leader do? A leader wants to bridge the gap between his reality and people's perception. The truth is, perception is more important. We can act, but others judge us, and the quality of opportunities they avail us is directly proportional to how they perceive us. So you have to remember that commitment, which is your goal as a leader, is some sort of opportunity also that allows you to achieve your team goals. And that opportunity is only granted to you by your team members if they trust you. If you want people to commit to you as a leader, you have to care about the perception. As a leader, you want to ask yourself, how do you engage with your personality type? And what possible perception problem does it create? And how can you begin to rectify that? So where a leader wants to start from is to at least have an extensive self-understanding of his own personality or her own personality and the perception problems it could sometimes create, and you must take the perception as feedback in order to grow your trust capital. So also, one of the problems presented by personality is you become impatient with others. You assume they use their personality type as an excuse. Yeah, that happens sometimes. But if behavior change is your goal, you can achieve that without first showing them that you deeply understand them. And you have to assume also that when you claim that you are who you are and you cannot change it for them, that they also have the right to think that you are using your personality as an excuse. So another problem a leader wants to look into is their need to sometimes want people to be a perfect mirror of them. Say you are a methodical and analytical individual, and you have a sanguine who is a procrastinating, talkative, and unorganized individual. What are your expectations for this person? What are the causes of your frustration with this person? The truth is, you want this person to be like you. You want him to suddenly transform to a methodical, careful, organized, and analytical person in engaging issues. You sometimes want a perfect mirror image of yourself in people that work with you, even though they exhibit different personality or engagement type from you. You see, it doesn't work that way. We cannot transform people into our mirror image because they are who they are. Having to engage in this type of wanting people to be our perfect mirror image creates continuous frustration, and continuous frustration erodes trust, because frustration is a friction that exists as a result of lack of understanding that exists between the people involved. This trust eroding attitude show up because you have used your personality trait to achieve some results in your life, and those are the traits that you are accustomed to. So you mostly want to force other people into that mold. You want them to act as you and use your method before you can assume that they are acceptable to you. This betrays lack of social intelligence. You see, like the previous example that I used, an extroverted dominant personality who has an introverted, compassionate person in his team will have trouble because while one feels it's about the team goal, the other thinks it's about the people in the team. The dominant extroverted personality is motivated by projects and goals. The introverted compassionate is motivated by care for the people. Both of them want the goal to be achieved, but their motivation towards achieving the goal is different. So because you don't understand personality types, you don't delegate strategically, which creates frustration in you and the people that work with you. The assignment you give to someone of a sanguine nature, which requires detailed analysis, sometimes should have been given to a more methodical melancholy. A project that requires speed that should have been handed over to a choleric personality is delegated to a phlegmatic. So sometimes these are part of the sources of frustration that inundate a team. And as a leader who is looking to improve his communication should gain an extensive understanding of personality differences or personality styles and use that to guide his team engagement. I strongly believe that this would help you as a leader to start building trust as you remove one of the sources of frustration that plague your team. So in the next episode, I want us to look at another way a leader should communicate or needs to communicate to improve his trust quotient. So in that episode, I will introduce you to what we call the mathematics of trust. See you in the next one.